Ebusa for Moka by Life Media so na ye aware say 2024 budget no ye finance minister read no ene na tax won sem bia o kan no bi en mabobọ no am de ba be so mu na ye twen ho brae ba me de betudwa For the 15th November 2023, NIM Finance Minister Ken Ofori Atta ready 2024 budget no. Na ne nsem bi okafa tax ho eno bi na mabobo no amede ba be so mo menua. Na nsem bi okafa tax no ni nyina de me de a ema emose no mani nje pa sanitary pass a ne bo be ye den e wo kan na mai mu ha te se utiska akotompa na yo ya ebi kwa plan na say it's a 4 day no no use ntoma go no hom sa be ko back bi say na ne bo aye de ade wo use asa ato atwene na ne bo aye din say de na amanfo person mu ja use o sanitary pass no de any Ghana he nyina o yi tax no every so afen so vehicles are charge rechargeable ones no and also say 8 years to come they be imported e Ghana he bia no import na de ye commercial details bia and also o see a free charges bia and na so afen so omo printing into my Ghana hanen so or say charges bia na so biem tax no we yi from so afen so raw materials are the sanitary pads ningina so we yi tax free so and na afen so African prints raw materials or the sanitary money na so we yi tax free so afen so medical consumables gloves no we ya doctors no e use hospitals no and also we tax free so afen so agricultural machines and also we tax free ningina so the be twa bia me nyam ba so ntitina say na jejon ho ne twen imago news na de ningina ebebro yenko hwe ni videos ni bi ne nsem bia okeka fa tax ho ember nearby better
that we improve our tax ratios significantly, otherwise our long-term competitiveness will be eroded. As we all know, our country's 13% tax to GDP ratio is far below our peers. Our target is 18 to 20%, and we are on course with 16% hoping to be achieved this year. In that regard, it is difficult to implement all the structural reforms and tax reliefs needed to immediately lower and or eliminate certain tax handles. However, I assure this August House that we have heard, we believe in lower taxes as a government for industry, and we are working others aggressively with the GRA to be cemented with the Standing Committee of the Mutual Prosperity Dialogue. Mr. Speaker, further to the above, the following reliefs have been prioritized for implementation. To extend, Mr. Speaker, the zero rate of VAT on locally manufactured African prints for 2 more years. Mr. Speaker, to waive import duties on import of electric vehicles for public transportation for a period of 8 years. Mr. Speaker, to waive import duties on semi-knocked down and completely knocked down electric vehicles imported by registered EV assembly companies in Ghana for a period of 8 years. Mr. Speaker, to extend zero rate of VAT on locally assembled vehicles for 2 more years. Mr. Speaker, to zero rate VAT on locally produced sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, to grant import duty waivers for raw materials for the local manufacture of sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, to grant exemptions on the importation of agricultural machinery equipment and inputs and medical consumables, raw materials for the pharmaceutical industry. Mr. Speaker, a VAT flat rate of 5% to replace the 15% standard VAT rate on all commercial properties will be introduced to simplify administration. To address the negative externalities of plastic waste and pollution, government will review and expand the environmental excise duty to cover plastic packaging and industrial and vehicle emissions. Mr. Speaker, the Stamp Duty Act 2005 Act 689 has not been reviewed since an enactment in 2005 to realign the rates for current economic realities Government in 2024 will review the rates and fees for stamp duties. The banks subject to ad valorem taxes will be expanded, while the specific rates will be reviewed. Mr. Speaker, a simplified tax return will be introduced as a means of promoting voluntary compliance as part of the modified taxation scheme for individuals in the informal sector. This approach will make it easier for taxpayers to fulfill their tax obligations to the state. Mr. Speaker, the Tripartite Committee has concluded negotiations on the national daily minimum wage. The tax-free portion of the individual income tax rate will accordingly be adjusted to take care of the change. Government recognizes the constraints our medical personnel face in providing health care for our citizens. With the passage of the Exemptions Act, government will engage the Ghana Medical Association on waivers for importation of vehicles to ease the transportation burden on our doctors. The policy will enable them to deliver quality and timely health care. Mr. Speaker, as a government, we have always been committed to protecting the quality of life of our people. Total wages and salaries for workers has increased from 14.7 billion in 2016 to 37.5 billion. All workers were paid full wages and salary on time, even when revenues plummeted during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the difficult economic challenges, we paid 15% cost of living allowance for 6 months in 2022 to cushion the 949 thousand workers, some 50% more than we had in 2016. Mr. Speaker, as reported in the 2023 Media Fiscal Policy Review of the 2023 Budget Statement Economic Policy of Government, the spending arrears clearance and prevention strategy was developed and approved by Cabinet for implementation. This is part of the measures to achieve the objective.
Ebusanfo yen finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta ni akwakuti na bano nti budget no gusu eredi new gist bia bebia ajalinti my card se me de bebro all comment via faber comment section no me hu se amanfo asase comment ma no mani age ankasa sanitary pass no the tax free so the bebe bia me de ba so mo subscribe to our channel like and mention all platform Mobile Life Media, actually to me, ha, and a berum de Messi, Macamo. Bye bye.